Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, furry degenerates, whoever you might be, welcome. This is Sterling with Sterling Belikov from X and Belikov Outdoors. Today we are going to be looking at an absolutely legendary knife, since we're not really doing firearms reviews for right now. We've switched over to doing something else while I wait and hopefully get some more funding, as well as saving up to put funds towards the trip my wife and I are going on, that I'm going to bring to you guys, my viewers and subscribers, to Orlando and Tampa Bay. Expect plenty of stuff as far as restaurants, theme parks, hopefully, and fishing with that. But today we are going to start part of a new chapter of Belikov Outdoors, which is blade reviews. And the blade that we are reviewing is an absolute legend. This thing has served through World War II and Vietnam, Korea. It served all the way through the War on Terror, as well as many other conflicts. And in fact, it is still used and carried today by the United States military and its combat troops. So without further ado, I'm going to flip the camera around and let you guys see. So guys, the blade we are reviewing is the Kabar, which is absolutely a legend. It has served with the United States Army, United States Marine Corps, United States Navy, and almost every other branch of the United States military forces throughout this blade's life. If my research is correct, and I kind of believe it to be so, this blade ended up being adopted right after World War I, whenever there was a strong need in the Ordnance and War Department for a standardized blade. Going into World War I, the United States military didn't really have a whole lot of standardization in blades and other objects such as that. They really weren't prepared for World War I and the global conflict that ended up taking place. Post-World War I, the United States Military Ordnance Department ended up setting up a more permanent basis for weapons, ammunition, and blades. And the company that produced Kabar, which I believe was United States Cutlery Company or something similar to that, ended up going and putting this knife forward. Let's go ahead and pull it out of its scabbard or sheath and let you guys get a good look at this. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. So, as I stated, this is a modernized take on the original military Kabar. It has a, I believe it's called krylon handle on it, which is a rubberish polymer. Original versions of this blade did not have these beautiful, deep serrated edges. The original blades also did not have this backdrop on the back. They came as a straight edge, double-sided blade, as you see here. Now, for the entirety of Kabar's life, as far as I know, the majority of their blades were actually made in Olean, New York, which is their historic area. They also had a sister company that was part of them called Ontario Knife Company. And if you guys know about your military history and blades, you know Ontario Knife Company produced blades right alongside Kabar for quite some time. Unfortunately, about 2 years ago, I believe it was, the big parent company of both Ontario Knife Company and Kabar ended up going out of business. And after being in business since the 1900s, basically, it was a very, very sad moment for knife collectors and military enthusiasts to see the manufacture of these beautiful knives disappear. So these guys are actually getting a little bit hard to find now, since the actual Kabar company is no longer there. If you guys want to go and see more knives from both Ontario and Kabar, I'm going to try and pick up a big brother to the Kabar knife you see here. But I have some other blades from Ontario that I'm looking forward to showing you guys. So let's go and take a look at getting to actually use this knife here. So also, today we're doing something a little different in the fact that I am the only person talking and running the camera today. So we're going to try this out. We got a little bit of vine that I thought I was going to be able to cut on, and most of this little tree here is absolutely died out. So we're going to go over here. So we're going to go and see just how well we can go and show off the edge a little bit on this blade. Obviously, it has no issues cutting through some smaller stuff like this. It could probably use a little bit of a touch-up from where it came from the factory, but with this blade being 1095, it is certainly capable of putting in some work and chopping through almost any kind of wood that you would like to. And as long as you're hitting towards this portion of the blade back here, it honestly could probably stand some batoning. So this particular model of the Kabar, as I mentioned, is an updated knife fighter variant. That's why it has this back swept edge. It still has that classic clip point and a fat belly up here, as well as these partial serrations down here for cutting through straps and webbing on more military equipment like is issued these days. Now, as I said, unfortunately, Ontario Knife Company, Kabar, is no longer here, guys. It's going to be harder and harder as time passes to pick up these wonderful knives. And it's really honestly a shame, because these were known as very, very good fighting knives over the years, from, like I said, World War II all the way up to current. I actually picked this knife up, and with its handle configuration, or sheath configuration, excuse me, I actually carried this for a very short time on my duty vest whenever I was working with the United States Air Guard. And it was quite amusing and cool, because after finding out that United States Air Force also, along with the Marine Corps, has this as their fighting knife of choice, I ended up picking up one of these for not a terrible amount and put it on my duty vest right up here. And one of the base higher ups ended up saying something to my chain of command, and they pulled me aside and were like, look, we appreciate the fact that you're trying to really get into the whole military aspect of this, but what was up with the Kabar? And I said, well, it's United States Air Force official fighting knife and utility knife. Why not wear one? And apparently there was a rule on base that I was unaware of, that if you were carrying a knife, it had to be either a folder or a neck knife at or under 4 inches long. And this is definitely not that. So I ended up having to take that off of my uniform, and it's kind of lived in my survival bag ever since. And anytime I've needed it and wanted to use it, it has definitely performed very, very admirably. We are going to go and take it and just go and cut these limbs off right here. See if it'll focus. Guys, not a whole lot of effort needed to be put into that. Not a whole lot at all. So if you guys come across one of these, whether it's the original United States Marine Corps marked ones, or one like this that's the knife fighter version with its super grippy rubberized handle. I would highly encourage you guys picking one of these up. They're a super great utility fighting knife. And like I said, unfortunately, they're no longer being made. We're gonna try and do more in-depth reviews with the knives that I'm showing coming up later on. But I hope you guys really loved that short little peek. And if you guys really love this, maybe I'll do a little bit longer of a video with this particular knife, showing off some batoning of it, showing some rope cutting. Honestly, I think I'm gonna go and hit it with a little bit of a ceramic roller, sharpen it up a little bit more, and we'll do some more testing with it to really show it off. But we're also trialing out me solo with the camera and seeing how that goes and how well that works. So I appreciate you guys going and looking at this small clip of me venturing into knife review. If I hadn't mentioned it before, absolute uses for this knife is all-around duty knife. As I said before, these were used all throughout the United States military. They're an excellent utility, combat, and camping knife. As I said, I think even this one could handle some decent batoning. I would absolutely recommend it as a camping or utility knife. We're actually going to look at some other knives later on that would even be better for that blur the line of what is a combat knife and where machete begins. But guys, that's another video for another day. I hope you guys enjoyed this look, and if you guys want to see me actually torture test a little bit this particular knife, I will put another video ad out on my X. If you are not following me on my X, you are missing out. That is going to be Sterling Belikov, aka the Conservative Wolf, over on X. I highly encourage it. That is where I do all my content polls. And if you guys find this kind of content a little bit entertaining and informing, as I'm kind of leaning more towards informational, guys, please consider Patreon. If nothing else, leave a like and reshare. I really appreciate it, and it really helps much more than you guys realize. And with that, I hope you guys have a blessed day, and stick around for more videos from Belikov Outdoors.